In this video, we're going to be talking about Excel. We're going to dive in to one of the most powerful tools offered in the entire Microsoft Office suite. All of this power is at your fingertips, but even if you've never opened Excel before, that's okay. Don't worry, I've got you covered. This is going to be a fun and practical introduction. So after you watch this video, I hope that you'll be inspired to go and play around with Excel, experiment, see how it can serve you best in your school life, personal life, professional life, whatever. Some people wonder, what is the big deal about Excel? And I think to myself, well, because Excel is everything, that's the big deal. But it's not just for numbers. It's not just for finance majors or accountants or mathematicians or whatever else. Excel is for everybody, you included, okay? It's like the Swiss Army knife of digital tools. So you can manage budgets, you can track goals, you can prepare reports. And that's just honestly scratching the surface. So we're going to show you, walk through Excel, walk through some of the menu items, those types of things, and then I'm going to show you some example use cases that you can use in your own life. So let's go ahead and get started. Well, actually, you know what? Before we get started, I want you to know, if you can see here, I am on a Mac, okay? So what I show on my screen may look a little bit different than what's on your screen, and that's okay. It may take some different clicks, some different navigation. That's okay. Okay, so let's jump in to Excel. So I'm going to open up Excel here, and as you can see, I have a blank workbook. I noticed that if I move my cursor around, I am highlighting what are called cells. Cells are absolute locations. So I have columns designated by letters of the alphabet, and then I have rows designated by number. So if I go over here to K7, I'm in column K, row 7. And if you notice, Excel will let you know where you are. So see how the K has a very that's small green border, and if we look over here on the rows, I can see that 7 is also highlighted. If that's not as helpful, I can look over here in this name box and it will show me K7, which is exactly where I'm at, okay? So Excel has several tabs, and again, your layout may look a little bit different because I'm using a Mac and you may be on a Windows machine. The Home tab is going to give you all of the aesthetic formatting, right? So this is going to allow you to change the font size and face. You can do any sort of font, any font size, bold, italics, underline. You've got some alignment options here, but if you notice that there's an additional row of alignment options. So we have this bottom row, which is what we would typically see in Word. So we have left align, right align, and then center. But in this row above, this is actually vertical alignment, so the up and down space. I'm able to move my cells or adjust the size of my cells by clicking and dragging on the borders. So I made this row 2 very, very tall, and I'll make this column B very, very wide, okay? And so if I go and type in something, so I'm just going to type in my name. And if I press enter, you see that automatically it's going to be left aligned and justified to the bottom. But if I click center, it's going to center that text vertically. If I click center horizontal alignment, it's going to center the text both horizontally and vertically. So you can adjust the alignment on this Home tab, okay? And that may be a quiz question. You are able to do a couple of things in Excel using what are called themes. Inside of the Page Layout tab, you have options for themes, and this is just going to set what Excel is going to look like by default. And so if you type some text here, you'll see that it doesn't really make any changes necessarily, But if you go back to the Home tab, you'll see that your colors have been altered just a bit. And you see here in your theme colors, you're able to automatically choose colors within that theme. So that's, again, under Page Layout, Themes. A best practice for using Excel is to, as soon as you open up your workbook, to save it. So I'm going to go to File, Save As, and I'm going to just save it on my desktop. I save everything on my desktop, and so I'm going to put my last name, my first name, and my 1100 Excel, okay? And it's going to save automatically as an XLSX, which is the newest version of an Excel workbook file. So I'm going to click Save, and you see here I have renamed it, okay? Now, if I click on the name, I can also jump into the saving. So if I wanted to save it into my OneDrive or something like that, I can do that here as well. Okay, so let's look at some other tabs. We have the Insert tab. This is going to be your opportunity to insert pivot tables, which we're going to look at here in a second. It's going to be your opportunity to insert charts, which we'll also look at here in a second. We'll look at pivot charts. If tables weren't enough, we can do charts too. We can have comments, text boxes, all kinds of stuff. Pictures, shapes, icons, just about anything that you would want to insert that is maybe extended beyond just typing in some text. Draw does just that. It is going to allow you to draw, and that's great. I honestly don't use that much, so we'll just skip over that. In Page Layout, you've got some things for controlling how the workbook looks to you. So we have margins here. This is just going to adjust the space on the edges and at the top and bottom. In this orientation, this is going to allow you to choose how your spreadsheets are oriented based on its print functions. So if you notice here, I'm going to hold up a piece of paper. So this, when the paper is longer, it is going to be landscape orientation. If the paper is up and down like this, that is portrait. And I always remember this by thinking about school portraits, right? School portraits, you go in and take your picture, and oftentimes they are up and down in this orientation. So this is portrait orientation. This is landscape orientation, okay? By default, Excel is going to orient this workbook portrait style. And you'll notice that that's not always going to be the most optimal. So you can switch orientations from the Page Layout tab and by choosing the portrait or landscape orientation, okay? Now, also in the Page Layout tab, you have this Page Setup. If I click on Page Setup, it's going to tell automatically that it is landscape, because I chose the orientation over here. And this scaling is going to allow you to configure the amount of information that's going to be printed on one page. So if I click Fit to One Page in the scaling, regardless of the information that I am putting into my Excel sheet, it's going to condense or expand it to fit one page. Okay, so again, all of that is in the Page Layout tab, both orientation and page setup. Those may also be quiz questions. Okay, moving on, the real power in Excel comes from formulas, and formulas are dynamic calculations. And I say dynamic because you enter the formula one time, and then based on the information you enter in the rest of the cells, that formula, the result of that formula, is going to update. So if I'm going to delete out all of this stuff, and I'm going to clear all of my formatting just by Clear All. I'm going to double click. I'm just going to go back here. See how I'm just manipulating the size? So if I have, I'm just going to put some headers here. Number 1, number 2, and I'm going to put total. And I just typed in something and pressed enter into each of these cells. Okay, so in number 1, I'm just going to put a 25. In number 2, I'm going to type 75. And then in total, I mean, I guess I could add it up myself, but instead I'm going to press the equal sign. And equal lets Excel know, hey, wait a minute, I'm getting ready to enter in a formula. And Excel has a ton of formulas. I'm not going to go over them here. There's way too many. But one of the easiest things to practice if you're new to formulas is the sum, which is just adding together. So I'm going to type in the word sum, and you'll notice that as I'm typing, Excel goes, well, wait a minute, I might know what you want, so let me help out. If you see the formula that you're wanting to use, which I'm wanting to use sum, I'll just simply click on it with my mouse. And it'll say, okay, what numbers would you like me to add together? And I'm going to click the first number, number 1. And then if you notice in this little tooltip here, it tells you exactly how to format your formula. I need a comma, so I'm going to press comma on my keyboard, and then I'm going to click inside of I3. So I have 25 plus 75. So I'm going to end my formula, which means put the right parentheses in there, and I'm going to press enter. And so now I have a formula. So if I edit this first number, I'm going to put 30, my formula, my sum updates automatically. Isn't that great? Now, let's say that I want to fill down, I want to type in a bunch of numbers here, but honestly I can't be bothered to do it because, well, I'm lazy. So I'll just type 31, 32, or 32. And so I'm going to select all 3 of these numbers. I just click, hold, and drag through those 3 cells, and you'll notice that they are bordered by this green border, and I have a bolded triangle there at the bottom right hand side. Okay, and my cursor right now is the white cross, but if I hover over that darker shaded triangle, my cursor is going to change to black, a black cross. This is called the fill handle. I'm going to click, hold, and drag it down, and then look, it automatically types in the rest of the numbers. Hello, I love that, right? Now let's say that I just wanted to fill 70 down the whole time. Well, if I just have that single number, Excel will by default just fill that same number down. But I have this handy dandy tooltip here. If I expand it, I have options. Copy cells means I'm going to copy a 70 for each of the cells that I've drug through. Fill series means that I'm going to go up by 1. So if I click fill series, it's going to go do 70, 71, 72, same as that. I just want the copy, the 70, and here is the awesome thing, okay? So I'm over here in my formula. I know it's a formula because when I click on the cell, I look over here in my formula bar and it says, you got a formula here. And I say, thank you for letting me know that. Oh. So I've clicked inside of my cell, and I'm again going to go to that bolded triangle in the bottom right-hand side. My cursor is going to change to the black plus sign, and I'm going to scroll or click, hold, and drag down. And it is going to literally drag that formula down. So if I click randomly on this row 26, it is 53 plus 70. So it has dynamically updated. How amazing is that, right? Think of all the things that you could do with just knowing those 2 things, which is the sum formula and the fill options, okay? Let's say that I wanted to make something a little bit cuter. Let's say that in this section of cells, I wanted to see where the numbers went over 130, okay? So I'm going to do some conditional formatting. This is one of my favorite things. I'm obsessed with it. So in conditional formatting, you get to tell Excel what you want it to do. So I want to highlight cells if they are greater than 130. And Excel's going to say, well, do you want them in red? Okay, fine. I can do any of these. I can do a custom one, something that I make myself. But greater than 130 sounds good to me. I'm going to click OK, and then automatically, look at this. There's cell colors based on condition. So that if any time I put 125 in here, it says, well, wait a minute, that shouldn't be red. It shouldn't be a red cell. So it's going to revert back. Again, all of this is just dynamic formatting. Now, I'm able to sort things. Okay, so I'm going to select my entire little chart here. Okay, I'm going to go to the Data tab because data allows me to manipulate things in different ways. I can sort, I can filter, I can text to columns, which is really awesome. I'll show you that in just a second. I can remove duplicates. Hello. I can make sure that there are drop-down menus. We'll get into that in a little bit later of a video, not today. So I'm going to click sort. So I went to the Data tab, I went to sort, and I love this box. It says my list has headers, which means the first row is not numbers. And then look, I get to choose. So maybe I want to sort the total smallest to largest. Well, it kind of already is that, isn't it? So I can choose largest to smallest. And if I click OK, it jumps up. Do you not love that? I absolutely love that. So now it is largest to smallest. I can use the filtering option. If I click filter, it gives me filter buttons for each column. So let's say I only wanted numbers. So I'm going to click the number 1, and I only want 40 and 41. And it's going to show me just that. How amazing is that? This is so handy. I use it almost every day. If I want to undo everything, I can click and say clear filter, and it will give me all of my information back. I can sort again through this filtering. So I'm going to sort ascending, which is going to do smallest to largest. I can sort by color. Look at this. Only show the reds. There we go. I love it. I love it. I'm going to clear the filter here. So as you can see, we can do a lot of stuff, right? Let me check my handy dandy quiz question list. So I have taught you how to save, which is home or file save as. I've taught you how to do the theme, which is page layout, themes. I've taught you about print orientations, which is also inside of this page layout orientation, as well as scaling, which is in page setup. Okay, so we've got all of those. I've taught you about alignment, which is this section right here on the Home tab where you can pick the alignment justification both horizontally and vertically. I can show you, I've showed you formulas. Perfect. Let's say that you don't want the total, you want the average. Okay, so I am going to come over here and I'm going to say average, just giving it a title. So I'm going to click the equal button or press the equal button or equal key, hello, and I'm going to start typing average. And look, it's the first one, so I'm going to press enter. Oh, not enter, I'm sorry. Equal sign, average, and then I'm going to press tab. There we go. I want the average of these numbers. So I just click, hold, drag. You see the dancing ants. Dancing ants is like the old school term for, see how everything's moving around, looks kind of like dancing ants on a picnic? Okay. I'm going to close my formula with that right parentheses. So it's going to calculate the average of the numbers from J3 through J47. And of course, average is the sum divided by the number of items that you summed. So I'm going to press enter, and there we go. That's the average. So I don't have to sit there, figure it out, anything like that. It just gives it to me. If I were to manipulate these in some way, I'm sure that average would then change. See how it's changing? Because formulas are dynamic. I'm just going to do undo, which is Control Z as in zebra. So we have a lot of options here, right? Let's say that I wanted to make this chart a little bit more cutesy, right? I can do format as a table. Look at this, all of these. Oh, I love a purple moment, so let's do that. And it says, well, do you want this just here? And I'll say, yes, that's exactly what I want. And look, I love it. Let's say that I want to get rid of the filtering stuff. When I click inside of the table, Excel says, wait a minute, maybe you want to edit just this table, and it gives me a table tab. And I'll uncheck filter button because sometimes that just clutters it up, and I don't like that. So I have alternating row color or row backgrounds. I've got my header row in a different color. I've got the header row also in white bold. I've got this line down here at the bottom which designates the end of the table, all of that stuff. We can do all of that. And look, that looks nice, right? I think it looks nice. Now, if at any point in time you say, I'm not feeling the purple, okay, then do something else. We'll do maybe green. Maybe you want all the green, like the green. I love that, okay? How about that? But look, our conditional formatting still sticking around, so that's awesome. All right, so let's look at some use cases, okay? Now, you'll notice that in Excel, you have sheets and workbooks, and this can get a little bit tricky. A sheet is just one page, so think of your Excel document as a notebook. So I've got a notebook right here, okay? So I've got my notebook, and a sheet is one single page of this notebook. So in this example, I have sheet 1, I have a personal finance, an assignment tracker, and a project. But they are all sheets in the same notebook, okay? So when I save my notebook, or it's called Workbook in Excel, it's going to save each of these 4 tabs or sheets. Now, I can add new tabs by clicking the new sheet button, and it'll populate here. It says sheet 5, okay, perfect. I can double click to change its name. I'm gonna say new name. When I finish renaming it, I'm just gonna press enter. If I right click, look, I can do a tab color. How cute is that? Red, love that. I'm gonna do tab color, this color. I'm going to do another tab color, maybe green. And my final tab color, I want purple, okay? And look at that. How cute is that, right? So again, all of this stuff is saving in one single file. So let's do personal finance. I use Excel to keep up with my own budget. So I've got some fake numbers here generated by ChatGPT, okay? So I've got my category titles. I've got category, budgeted amount. Now look, budgeted amount, I only see budgeted ammo. I need the whole thing. If you hover your cursor over and it changes to this weird like arrows pointing both ways plus a line, that's the resize handle. And I guess you could like move it around manually, but I honestly cannot be bothered by that. Instead, if I double click on the border here, it's going to automatically resize to best fit. Hello, I love that. So I'm gonna do that to column A as well. Double click, resize to best fit. If I have this big long one and then C is not, and you see how column C is not wide enough? If I do C and D, so see how C and D are highlighted, they're green. If I go and double click in between them, it will do best fit for both. Hello, I love that, okay? All right, so budgeted amount, actual amount. And it says here in this little column header, actual minus budgeted. Well, I'm not going to do it myself because I am not a math girly. So I'm going to equal sign and do actual. I'm just going to click there and then do a minus budgeted. And then I'm going to press enter on my keyboard. Okay, exactly. I didn't go over whatever. I'm going to drag this down. Remember my fill handle in the bolded right triangle, hello, bolded square down in the lower right hand side. The cursor changes to black crosshairs and I'm going to drag it down and it is going to fill. So these numbers are actual dollar amounts, right? And I need dollars. So if I am on my home tab, I can click on this currency button to make sure that Excel knows that, hey, I'm working with money here, right? So it automatically converts to, it has a dollar sign, it has the cents, the dot with the cents. I don't know the names at this moment, okay? Now down here is total. I would need my budgeted amount, my actual amount, and my difference. But they're all totals. Do we remember what total is? I'm going to press enter, or what is it? Equal sign. Equal. I'm going to type sum and a tab, and I'm going to click, hold, and drag through here. And I'm going to end my formula with the right parentheses, press enter. And that's the total. I'm going to drag this total so that it's, look, summing this column and then this column. Everybody gets a formula. I love it, right? We can go back and use our conditional formatting and say, well, for money that's in the negative, maybe I went over budget, I need to highlight if it's less than 0, right? Which means I need to watch what I'm buying at the grocery store. Isn't that true, right? I can do format as a table here, do another cute little table. And then looky there, I'm going to turn off this filter button. I just can't be bothered by it. But look, alternating row colors, and it's beautiful. I love it. But maybe I want to go one step further. Okay? Maybe I want to do, let's see what I want. I want the category and the actual amount. Okay? Don't want, let's see here. Let me do all of it, okay? So I've selected my category labels, I've selected budgeted amount, actual amount, all of it, right? I'm going to go to insert and I'm going to create a chart. Now it says recommended charts. If you want Excel to give you a list of recommendations, or if you want to do your own thing, you can pick the actual chart. I'm going to do recommended chart. And let's see here. I'm going to do I'm going to do this one, okay? I'll just pick one at random. All right. So there's a couple of things that I see automatically that I need to account for. Number one, I need to make this something that's more meaningful. Chelsea's budget. I just double clicked it. Oh. And then once I finish typing, I'm going to move over somewhere else. Okay. I'm going to click in here, and I notice that green is this series 3, and series 1, 2, and 3 is not very informative to me. I'm like, what is that? But I know that if I look here, this green amount is connected to this difference column, right? And that is not necessarily helpful at this moment to me. So I'm going to right click in my chart and I'm going to choose select data. Okay. And my series 3, I am going to get rid of it because it is not helpful. And in series 1, in this name field, I'm going to type my name, budgeted amount. And I'm going to click OK. And it changes. So now I know budgeted amount. Okay. I'm going to click the same thing. I'm going to go select data. For series 2, I'm going to say actual amount. And then I'm going to say OK. Now, I need the category to be different, right? Because these are not correct. So I need to change my axes. So again, I am going to go to select data. Horizontal axis, it's saying, okay, so you want to use this A through C, and I'm going to say absolutely not. I want rent through savings. And I'm going to click OK. And then look, rent, groceries, transportation, entertainment, savings. So I'm able to see very quickly if I met my budgeted amount, if I was a little bit less, or if I was a little bit over. And I'm able to see also how these values compare to my monthly spending habits. And this information is continuously dynamic. So I could go in here and I could say, okay, well this month maybe my budget amount is 800, but they raised my rent to 900. And so now my chart has changed because, again, all of this stuff is dynamic. Isn't that awesome? I love that. Okay, so there's an example of how you can use it for kind of personal budget stuff. And keep in mind, you can move this chart just about anywhere you want, okay? You can put on new sheet if you want to. All right, let's look at a different example. So I've got a list of courses and assignments and due dates and whether or not it has been completed. I love that. So if you see here, look, there are a lot of things going on and I'm not able to see all of the data. So I can use this select all over here in the top right, or top left, I'm sorry, to select the entire sheet. And if I double click on a border of a column, it's going to do best fit of everything. So I have math, and I've got homework 1, assignment 1, or quiz 1, when the due dates are, have I completed it? If yes, then what's the grade? And I notice here that it's percent, but this does not look like percent. So what I could do is select this column and choose percent. And it's automatically gonna be like, whoa, 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 that is crazy. So I'm gonna do 90%, oh, hello, I'm in the wrong cell. This is 900%. I don't want 900%. I just want 90%. I want 85%. I want 95%. Okay, so sometimes you got to do a little bit of adjusting, and that's fine. But look here. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. I notice that it could be either yes or no. So wouldn't this be a good scenario to choose from a list, right? So I'm going to delete these out. Don't be scared. And I'm going to come over here in a column by itself, and I'm going to do yes. Yeah, if I can type, yes and no. Now, I'm going to blow your mind. I love stuff like this. Okay, I'm going to select these empty cells. And I'm going to go to my data tab. Remember, I said we'd be back. Here we are. I'm going to use data validation. Get this, I'm going to use data validation from the data tab. And in this allow any value, it means that I could type in anything I wanted and it would be okay. That's not what I'm doing. I want to choose from a list. And so Excel says, okay, where's the list? And I say, see how my cursor has changed to these selection cross? I'm going to say it's right here. I'm going to click here and then say it's right here. Here's the list. Now, look here. I want to draw your attention to something. You'll see here that in this source, which is the source of the list, it has dollar signs. $I, $1, $I2, colon, which is through, $I, $2. Anytime you put a dollar sign in front of the column letter or the row number, that is identifying an absolute location that is unchanging. So that allows me to freeze that formula. So it will always and only select I1 through I2. So the dollar sign is called an absolute value, or it makes an absolute value. So I'm going to click OK. And then look, now I come over here, and I guess I could type yes, but if I click down in the downward arrow, yes, no, and then now I can type Y, and it'll say, oh, I think you wanted yes. I did. And then no, and then yes, and then no. So that helps my data to be consistent, right? So I'm not having all kinds of kind of wackadoodle formats, this, that, and the other. So as long as I have these values, I can do a data validation list so my users can select from that list. And it just kind of cuts down on some of the mistakes, okay? So I have my math, I have my homework 1, I have my due dates, I have completed, all of these things. So I'm able to then do exactly what we did in the first assignment, or in the first example. I'm going to format this as table. I just think that the table, whenever you format something, it just looks nicer. See, it just looks a lot nicer. So here, I can use the filtering options to filter only those assignments that I have not yet completed. So I take everything away and I say, okay, I just need to focus on these 3 assignments. And then I can schedule myself and my time accordingly. So pretty cool, right? All right, let's look at a last example, and we're gonna get a little bit more sophisticated. So I'm going to use the select all option. I'm going to double click in between 2 columns to automatically do adjust to best fit for all columns and all rows. And so this is a project management example. So I have tasks assigned to, a start date, a due date, completed, the % completed, and then some notes. Okay, so let's see here. So I have tasks assigned, start date, due date, status, completed. This time, instead of formatting it as a table, I'm actually going to insert a pivot table. I'm going to choose new worksheet. It's going to add a worksheet to my notebook. Okay, so notice here, I'm in sheet 6 all of a sudden, and I've got project management here. So the pivot table doesn't show until I start putting some things in these 4 boxes. So here are the things that I can pull down to those, okay? So let's do assigned to, okay? And then let's do completed. Oh, let's do values here too. Okay, so if I drag the % completed down to values, it shows that Alice, and notice that the duplication is, it takes it away, right? So Alice, which had 2 projects, so Alice is research market data and testing QA. Alice has 2 projects. She has one that is 100% and another one which is 0%, okay? So, number of, I'm gonna say completed projects. Completed projects. And again, it would be helpful to spell it correctly. Okay. So you're able to edit any of these row, so I can say team member. Again, if I say team member, then I've got to add it out a little bit. And so anytime I click within the pivot chart, or pivot table, I'm sorry, I can manipulate anything that I want. Okay, so let's go back over here. Let's choose, again, we'll do the whole thing, and I'm going to insert a pivot chart. Okay. Now, again, I'm going to say assigned to, and I'm going to say completed. Actually, let's do tasks. So in my pivot chart, I have Alice, Bob. So I notice here that I don't necessarily like that. I want the series to be something else. Okay, so let's see here. What if I move this over to values? Yeah. So I can see how many tasks I've assigned to each person. So for example, if I look here, Alice, Bob, Charlie, and then assigned to the team, and then I have total here. But let's say that I don't like this particular view. I can always right click and say change chart type. And then that way I can do a different style. Maybe I want the horizontal bar so that I have a little bit of separation. Maybe this is also not necessarily what I wanted. I can change the chart type up here in the chart type options. So I'm able to manipulate the chart. I'm going to change the chart title here. Okay. I'm going to change, I can change the chart type, I can change the axis, I can change both the Y and X axis, I can change the legends. All of these things are editable in this pivot chart. So, that's kind of the quick and dirty on Excel. Again, you can do all kinds of things with it. The world is truly your oyster. So I hope that I have encouraged you to get in there and just play around a little bit. The lab required for this week is going to walk you through some of these same tasks. Watch the video and it's going to guide you through each of those elements. If you have any questions whatsoever, please don't hesitate to reach out, and I hope you have a fabulous week. See you guys later.